Did Iran actually win the war? Did America betray Israel to help Iran for its own gain? Looking at recent events, it sure seems that way. On June 17, 2025, the United States' most dangerous aircraft, known as the Doomsday Plane, landed in Washington, D.C., sparking chaos on social media. One user commented that this plane does not appear under normal conditions. It only shows up when a major disaster is about to unfold. The aircraft touched down at Andrews Joint Base last night, and the world took notice. The landing signaled that the U.S. might be preparing for an unimaginable emergency. The Doomsday Plane, often called the Flying Pentagon, is the United States Airborne Command Center. It only lands in Washington during two events: nuclear war or a national emergency. That is why sightings are rare. Historically, whenever this aircraft is deployed, a regime change soon follows in some country. For instance, in 2001, after it landed, the U.S. invaded Afghanistan and toppled the Taliban overnight. In 2003, it was spotted again right before America overthrew Saddam Hussein's government in Iraq. Just before this recent landing, Donald Trump made a bold statement. "We know exactly where Iran's so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target. Iran should surrender immediately, or our patience will run out." Then on June 24, 2025, Trump did something unexpected. After launching attacks on 3 Iranian nuclear sites, he tweeted, "Congratulations, we have achieved a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Peace has been restored." This raised serious questions. Why attack nuclear sites if peace was the goal? Why deploy the Doomsday Plane if negotiations were underway? Why the contradiction in Trump's words and actions? Some reports suggest that America, along with Israel, planned to carry out a regime change in Iran. But others argue that the U.S. had its own agenda all along, or perhaps it even betrayed its closest ally, Israel, to assist Iran. That idea might sound unbelievable. After all, the U.S. and Iran have no formal diplomatic or trade relations. Their geopolitical ties are extremely strained. So why would America help Iran by betraying Israel? What did the U.S. save Iran from? Could Israel really have carried out a regime change in Iran on its own? What is clear is that such a regime change would benefit Israel the most. Iran's position has always been to eliminate Israel from the map. Just days ago, the Israeli Prime Minister stated openly that Iran's perceived threat must be permanently neutralized. For the past year, Israel has been executing a highly dangerous and methodical plan. It caused Iran significant damage and was close to reaching its final goal, until Trump's unexpected announcement derailed everything. To understand what happened, we must first look at the background of Israel's plan. Back in 1980, just 1 year after Khomeini came to power, Iran and Israel, odd as it seems today, were somewhat dependent on each other. Despite pressure from Arab nations, Iran secretly supplied oil to Israel through a Mossad agent named Mark Rich. This was a bold move, especially from a new leader of a newly established government. Iran's priorities at the time were defeating Iraq in war and maintaining internal stability, not starting a conflict with Israel. However, by the mid-1980s, that cooperation faded due to both countries' ambitions. Khomeini had always opposed Israel, but limited backdoor diplomacy and trade kept some ties alive. But once Iran stabilized, it shifted focus toward spreading a Shia Islamic model across the Muslim world. One key goal became avenging Palestinian suffering at the hands of Israel. Meanwhile, Israel's top priority remained protecting its sovereignty, especially given its small size, smaller than the Indian state of Manipur, and its location surrounded by hostile Muslim nations. Their conflicting ambitions led to a breakdown in relations. A major turning point came in the late 1990s when Iran launched Operation Ahmed, aimed at building 5 nuclear bombs. Israel has always maintained that no Islamic nation, especially not Iran, should possess nuclear weapons. Their stance is clear: prevent militant Islamic regimes from acquiring nuclear arms. Iran and Pakistan are seen as primary threats. On October 7, 2023, Hamas terrorists stormed into Israel, killing and capturing civilians. That same day, Israel decided that the only long-term solution was regime change in Iran. Everything discussed here is backed by sources linked in the description below. Through my channels Gatesfly Science and Gaurav Thakur, my mission is to promote scientific thinking among Indians and drive meaningful change. Our team is expanding, and we are looking for science and geopolitical writers, motion graphic artists, and social media interns for a work from office opportunity in Mumbai. Full details are in the description. back to the main topic. Before we analyze how Israel plans to execute its strategy, let's understand India's perspective. Both Iran and Israel are close allies of India. Israel's role is widely known, but Iran too has supported India. For instance, it gave India operational control of the Chabahar Port, a key counter to China and Pakistan. Despite being a Muslim nation, Iran has remained neutral on the Kashmir issue and has a cultural connection with Indian Muslims. This is why India has taken a neutral stance in the ongoing war and is urging both sides to resolve their issues peacefully and diplomatically. In geopolitics, there are no permanent friends or enemies, only national interest. Israel, too, justifies its sudden attacks on Iran by citing national security. These attacks were not random. They were years in the making. This pyramid shows Iran's power structure. The Islamic Republic of Iran has a unique system. There is democracy. Presidents and parliament are elected, but all final power rests with the supreme leader. Since 1979, only 2 men have held this role, known as Ayatollahs, first Ruhollah Khomeini, and now Ali Khamenei. Next in the power structure is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps IRGC, a powerful force separate from Iran's regular military. It acts as the supreme leader's personal army. IRGC soldiers receive double the salary of regular forces and are tasked with protecting the regime domestically and internationally. They achieve this by backing militant groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Palestine, and the Houthis in Yemen. These proxies are fully trained, armed, and funded by the IRGC. Their purpose: create pro-Iranian states across the region and retaliate against anyone opposing the supreme leader. Israel itself has faced this directly. But the most important part of this structure, the piece that makes it nearly invincible, is Iran's nuclear program. Israel knows very well, if Iran gets nuclear weapons, Israel's very existence is at risk. 2 existential threats stand out: nuclear weapons and Iran's massive stockpile of over 20,000 ballistic missiles, enough to deliver several nuclear bombs. In the past, Israel has targeted Iranian nuclear scientists and facilities, but this time, its goal is bigger: dismantle the entire power structure, so that Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei becomes powerless. This is extremely difficult, but Israel is already working on it. Since the October 7, 2023 attacks, Israel has adopted a top-down approach. First, it targeted the peak of Iran's terror pyramid, its proxies. Hamas was the first to fall. This is the group's hierarchy. Ismail Haniyeh was the leader. Yahya Sinwar was his deputy. Both are now dead. In August 2024, at the inauguration of Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian, Haniyeh was invited along with other international leaders. Israeli defense forces had been waiting for this moment for months. They had long planned his assassination. Haniyeh stayed at the Nishat compound, a heavily guarded IRGC facility. Mossad infiltrated the compound by turning some IRGC commandos into agents. Those agents planted bombs under 3 beds in separate rooms. Once Haniyeh checked in, Mossad confirmed his room and detonated the device, killing him in his sleep. Hamas was left leaderless. The burden then fell on Yahya Sinwar naturally. He became the next target. But unlike Haniyeh, Yahya's death was not carefully planned. It happened by chance. In mid-October, IDF soldiers were patrolling the Tal Sultan area in Rafah. They spotted 3 Hamas fighters and engaged in a firefight. 2 were killed, 1 escaped into a nearby house. IDF launched a bomb strike on the building. When a drone was sent to inspect the scene, they discovered the fighter was none other than Yahya Sinwar himself. The video of the operation exists and is linked in the description below. To confirm his identity, IDF collected a thumbprint from the body for DNA testing. Once confirmed, they publicly declared the top Hamas leadership had again been eliminated. The Israeli Defense Forces IDF systematically eliminated Hamas leadership in a series of targeted strikes. A full list of those killed is available in the description. Even Hamas's overseas leadership has now collapsed. Before October 2023, Hamas had 3,000 fighters. By April 2024, the IDF had reportedly killed around 13,000 fighters, showing a sharp decline in Hamas's operational capacity. Their remaining presence is now mostly confined to Gaza. But Israel did not stop there. The next focus turned northward to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hassan Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, along with the group's senior leadership, was reportedly killed in a single strike. On September 28, 2024, a secret meeting was held in Harith Rahak, Lebanon. 60 feet underground in a fortified bunker. This depth is equivalent to a 6-story building. Iran likely did not anticipate that Israel could reach so deep. However, Mossad had gathered intelligence in advance. As the meeting began, an Israeli fighter jet launched a bunker buster bomb directly at the site. These bombs are designed to penetrate underground defenses before detonating. That one strike eliminated Hezbollah's entire top leadership. Just 10 days prior, Israel also launched a series of pager blasts throughout Lebanon. These attacks went viral in the news. In September 2024, Hezbollah had shifted to using pagers, basic devices from the 90s, to avoid call tapping. These were considered untraceable. But on September 19th, Israel detonated pager-based explosives simultaneously across Lebanon. Hundreds were injured or killed, including some civilians. The attack faced global criticism, especially due to civilian casualties. Since October 2023, around 4,000 Hezbollah fighters have been killed, effectively neutralizing the group. The last remaining proxy group was the Houthis in Yemen. Since October, they had launched continuous missile attacks on Israel. One missile even hit an airport in central Israel. Israel responded differently this time by cutting off their supply routes. The IDF carried out two major airstrikes on December 26, 2024, and May 5, 2025, targeting Sana'a International Airport, Hudaydah Port, and Ras Isa Port. Runways, fuel storage, aircraft, and military facilities were destroyed. This significantly disrupted Iranian weapon shipments and Houthi missile launches from Sana'a. The most recent development occurred on June 15, 2025, when the Houthis top military commander was killed in an Israeli airstrike, leaving the group without leadership. From a broader view, Israel has dismantled three major Iranian-backed proxy groups: Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. These groups were crucial to protecting the Iranian regime's interests. With them neutralized, Iran's ability to operate abroad is now severely weakened. On June 14, 2025, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, targeting the IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This operation appeared brief but had been in preparation for months. According to an ET report, Mossad units had already infiltrated Iran months earlier. These operatives blended in and smuggled kamikaze and compact missile drones into the country. Drones were hidden in civilian vehicles parked near Iran's missile defense systems. A launch site was also secretly established inside Tehran. On June 14th, once given the green light, all drones were activated simultaneously. Iran's entire air defense system collapsed. With no air resistance, 200 Israeli jets entered Iranian airspace and struck 100 key targets. The primary targets were IRGC leaders, Chief of Staff Hossein Salami, Air Force Commander Amir Ali Hajizadeh, and Armed Forces Chief Mohammad Bagheri. Precision strikes killed all three. A photo even showed that the attack was so accurate, the next-door apartment's lights were still on, and its windows were untouched. This list includes all the senior IRGC military leaders eliminated by Israel. The IRGC's command structure has been dismantled. Without strong leadership, even a well-equipped army becomes ineffective. 3 days later, on June 17th, Israel struck again, killing Ali Shadmani, the newly appointed chief of army staff and reportedly supreme leader Khamenei's closest aide. The message was clear: anyone leading an anti-Israel group is now a target. It is important to note that these were not just military figures, but some of Iran's top strategic minds. They were central to the regime's survival over the past 45 years. Their deaths represent a significant loss not just for the IRGC, but for the entire Iranian government. Under the same Operation Rising Lion, Israel also targeted Iran's nuclear facilities. The green dots on the map represent Iran's nuclear sites, while the red dots show Israeli attacks. The most prominent target was Natanz, Iran's main uranium enrichment facility, followed by Isfahan, a key research site. Many other enrichment sites were also destroyed. Several of Iran's top nuclear scientists were killed. Among them were Faridun Abbasi, former head of the Atomic Energy Organization, and Abdul Hamid Minakir, head of Iran's nuclear engineering faculty. These losses represent another major setback for Iran, as restarting the program will take years. The next potential target was Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. Prime Minister Netanyahu made public statements hinting at this. Israel has a long-standing reputation for following through on its words, so the possibility of targeting Khamenei was taken seriously. Had that strike happened, Iran would have likely retaliated heavily, perhaps targeting Tel Aviv. This could have escalated into a full-blown regional war with significant civilian casualties. Many would not have supported Israel's actions, especially considering the innocent lives already lost. Looking at the situation from the U.S. and Trump's perspective, rising instability in the Middle East and economic losses due to attacks on the Strait of Hormuz highlighted Trump's failure to prevent conflict similar to his handling of the Russia-Ukraine war. The Republican image as peacekeepers was damaged when Trump ordered strikes on Iran's supposed nuclear bases. Without evidence of radioactive fallout, he achieved two things. First, he reinforced his image as Israel's protector. Second, he claimed to have prevented future instability by removing nuclear threats. A third key benefit became clear shortly after. After the attacks, social media lit up. Many accused Trump of being inconsistent or even illegal in his actions, labels that do not align with being a peace ambassador. Meanwhile, Trump pushed Qatar's prime minister to mediate with Iran, but Iran ignored these efforts. As the U.S. had no real leverage, trade relations were already non-existent. The military show of strength seemed more about forcing Iran to negotiate, and eventually, it was Qatar's PM who facilitated peace talks. Afterward, Trump posted a tweet taking credit for peace, similar to how he claimed success in the India-Pakistan standoff. Others do the work. Trump takes the credit. Many working in corporate environments might relate to this. Trump's tweet proudly framed the outcome as his personal achievement, almost writing his own chapter in history. After receiving Pakistan's Peace Award, the message was loud and clear. So did Trump betray Israel? Not really. The U.S. has always aimed to protect Israel, but not necessarily pursue regime change in Iran. Unlike the 1900s when Iranian oil fueled Western industry, targeting Iran today could drag in Russia and China and worsen the conflict. If Trump retires during this period, he risks being remembered as a president who led the country into war. His tweets show he wants to be remembered in history, but has he learned from it? Every U.S. intervention claiming to bring peace has failed. Iraq led to ISIS. Afghanistan saw the return of the Taliban. Libya descended into civil war, and Syria still struggles. In South America, CIA involvement fueled drug cartels. U.S. invasions have not brought peace, they have shattered nations. I have made a separate detailed video on this. Click the I button to watch it. Now a ceasefire has been declared. But is it a real resolution like in the India-Pakistan conflict? Not really. This is just a temporary fix. The core issues remain unresolved and may never be solved. Still, Trump claimed full credit. Once again, geopolitics shows us that truth often depends not on what is right, but on who holds the most power. Truth, in this world, is largely shaped by authority, not by morality. The real question now is, how long will this temporary patch, placed by Mr. Trump, actually last?